How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at reacting to Sony is ending physical PS5 games. A number of you have watched this video and have wanted to see my reaction to this, so that's what we're going to do now. If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. I am so close to 7,000 subs. End of year goal is 10,000, but let's see if we can smash that 7,000. Maybe we can do it with this video. All right. Let's check it out in 3, 2, 1. I guess I have to do that. 3, 2, 1.
We're talking about
3, 2, 1.
What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about PlayStation because Sony has just taken the first secret steps to stopping production of all physical games. There's about to be nothing printed on a disc. No new CDs, no new music, no new Blu-ray movies, and of course, no PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 games actually coming on real physical boxes anymore. And the death of physical media. This all-digital future, it's bizarre that it's finally here, but let's discuss. Hi, hope you're having a great...
I don't understand why it's bizarre or why it's such a big, scary thing. At the end of the day, people said the same thing about cassettes as we moved to CDs, and then CDs moved to MP3s, and then to Spotify and stuff like that. It's the natural transition of things. Movies did the same thing. Even though you can get the odd movie here and there new in a physical, they're going to be remotely available. I guess the only things that are going to be available for here is going to be maybe limited run games, or they're just going to sell it as a collector's thing for you to have it as a disc that might not even have the game on there anymore, because there'll be no need if in the future there's going to be no physical drives, right? But I don't see it weird. I see it as a natural progression as, the world continues to stop plastic, because, recycling plastic is extremely difficult to the point of not possible. It's very toxic. So this is why it's happening. And, well, let's see what he's got to say.
Great day. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's see if we can get this video to like 2,000 likes to sort of show our support. I feel like there's this weird part of the internet where people are still buying games, people are still like actually supporting the art and experiences they enjoy, but the amount of sales for physical games is clearly going down. The people that are actually pre-ordering stuff, playing stuff, buying microtransactions, or just spending hundreds of dollars on V-Bucks, a huge chunk of the gaming industry is definitely going all digital. And it sucks to see that because clearly Sony sees the trend. So,
and this is the thing, right? When you're looking at the way, the newer generation, Gen Z, is actually spending their money. They're buying V-Bucks, Minecraft currency, Call of Duty currency. They're not, Robux. These are the games that they're playing now. I mean, even my kids who have access to every single console that's next gen and previous gen with portable PCs like the Steam Deck are still sitting down and playing Roblox and Minecraft and games like these. It's crazy, but this is what they want to play. They don't want to play those blockbuster games. There's no desire for them. So companies are going to look at that and follow suit. And us oldies that actually appreciate a good story and appreciate a good storytelling, we are becoming fewer and fewer.
So, as of about 30 minutes ago, this just came out. People are incredibly pissed. Sony is firing 250 people from its recordable media business, which
I wouldn't say they're totally pissed. I've not seen any outrage. I've not seen anyone table flipping. I've not seen anyone, going out and proclaiming that the end is here. I haven't seen any news broadcasts saying that, the world is about to end, a meteor is about to strike the earth. So you can clearly see that this isn't a Microsoft, a Microsoft announcement, because if it was, all of those things would have transpired. You would have had a million articles. The news reports would have talked about the end of times appearing. It would have been Ragnarok all over again. the apocalypse would have been here. But as we've not seen any of that, that's a clear indication that this is not an Xbox issue, but it's a Sony issue, which is clearly a non-issue for the majority of the media, if not all of them.
Which essentially means the people that actually make the discs, that print stuff. And I understand the fact that this is an expensive endeavor. They're trying to gradually cease production of optical disc storage media products, including Blu rays, according to sources. Now, what this means is that Sony realized that it is a pricey thing to have actual warehouses, truck drivers that are shipping, huge chunks of hundreds of DVD discs to the stores to sell you a copy of, Spider-Man on PlayStation 5. That is an extra cost that Sony and Xbox have been trying to find a way to dodge. They've definitely been trying to go more and more digital. That's why you're seeing the all-digital PlayStation 5. There's multiple now all-digital Xboxes, but
I mean, Microsoft has gone into this quite early from the beginning of this generation, and even though Sony did have that digital PS5 that he's showing, this is a little disingenuous because that was pretty much discontinued very, very early on and was no longer manufactured. You can almost not find that version of the PS5 at all anyway. Now they did release the modular one, which can make it digital or non-digital, but to say that this is how Sony released it, they quickly changed their mind thought process and went to the disk drive model all the way. So Sony wasn't quite ready at the start of the launch, but they did offer that option. But it wasn't a case of the way Xbox doubled down on it. Xbox now has tripled down on it with their Series X digital, so we'll see how that's going. But Xbox has paved the way, and with a lot of things, this is always the way, and Sony is now following suit as it starts to see the trend and the benefits to a corporation as they go full digital.
it's still bizarre to see this day is really arriving because I do personally love buying games. It's still cool to me to have a real box because I like the idea that I can actually lend you a game. I have a very big PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 collection, and I've always appreciated the fact that, like when I was a kid, because I was just so broke, each kid in the neighborhood had like 2 games, and we'd all swap. So if you had 20 friends, you had a library of 40 playable games. And I know that some people down here in the comment section are going to basically say, you own nothing and you'll like it. And I see this sentiment a lot because it is technically what these companies want. If you actually open up the disc, if you actually look at the fine print on anything you've purchased, you don't really actually own it. Like, it's very bizarre, but it actually says on every single PlayStation or Xbox game or anything, it says, hey, Sony owns this disc, they own the data, they own everything. You're simply allowed to play it. But even if that is the case, technically, I feel like there is still this physical ownership to the fact that you cannot take it back.
I mean, there is that, right? There is that ownership. And the fact is, if you want to sell it, it has a resale value. Currently, when you buy digital media, there is no resale value. Now, as I said in my previous video, that Microsoft did have this during the Xbox One era when they announced it. There was supposed to be an option with the whole family Xbox Live thing, where if you bought a game and you finished with it, you would have the option to trade that license in for a set value that would basically come off the next purchase of your game, which was a really good idea. But once everything got scrapped, that got scrapped with it, and I really hope they bring it back because that's essentially what he's talking about: the ability to sell your games and actually be able to get some money for it. Or even if that's not the case, maybe they'll allow you in the future to sell your license to someone else on the market board. You'll put it up there for a set value, and if someone wants it, they will purchase it, and you get the credit for that onto your Xbox Live account or your PSN account. Either way, something like that could work as well. So it's interesting, but yes, the reality is you don't own your game, but if you have the physical disc, who cares? You've got it, you can play it, and you can do what you want, unless you're connected to the internet. If your PS5 or your Series XS downloads a firmware that physically blocks the booting of that game, which the company is legally allowed to do, despite the fact that you paid money for, because they clearly tell you that you do not have ownership over this game, then you don't get to play it. Now, obviously, if you don't have that firmware and you're offline and you never go online and your firmware stays the same and you plug it in and it works, happy days. But the majority of the people are going to be running on the latest firmware because they want to be able to play online or gain access to the online PSN servers.
I can play this copy of God of War as many times as I want. I can sell it on eBay. I can customize the box. I can do whatever I want with it, technically forever, as long as I have a PlayStation 4 that's able to play it. But these companies have clearly been pushing for the idea of making it so that you only own stuff as long as they allow it. Stupid decision. I literally hate using limited run for buying physical games. This sentiment I see constantly because I appreciate
limited run is cool. They at least do offer you something. Like I'm getting my Alan Wake off them, but one, they're overpriced. Two, they're only available in the US, and three, I'm in the UK and it doesn't work. But four, and the most important one, they shouldn't be the reliance for these companies to produce a physical box. To either do it or don't. It's that simple. Don't rely on a third party to do it for you. You either do it yourself or just cut the ties and that's it.
limited run for taking games that have no physical version and making a copy of the game, but limited run is very slow. They are very ineffective. If you've ever actually bought stuff, there are times where you can pre-order a game on limited run and it takes over a year to come out. Like it takes over a year for them to physically ship it to you. So pretty much every time ever that I've bought a limited run game, I buy a digital version of it and then limited run pre-order it, and then I get the physical disc way after I finished it. So no.
Just to give you an indication, I got the Alan Wake Collector's Edition. I paid for it about 3-4 weeks ago, and the estimated delivery date is in December. So he's not chatting shit here. Estimated delivery date is December of this year.
No matter what, they're getting double the sales. It's bizarre to me that we're definitely coming to the spot where collecting physical media is becoming a lost art. The idea of actually being able to just access the stuff you enjoy at any time, the ability to have not just like a wall of games, the ability to go back and play stuff is becoming increasingly archaic. And I feel like this is just so bizarre to me to see this change coming. I do see some people cheering this on. Kareem here, he's like a big Xbox fanboy. He is a big champion for Xbox Game Pass, and he likes the idea that I have seen some people say that when physical media finally dies, we'll see a new revolution of price points. Now, I want to explain what this means and why I disagree with it, but the current sentiment is that the idea of $70 games exists because there is this physical thing to it, that if you're selling a physical item, that means you got to be able to ship it to Walmart. Walmart's going to take a cut. That means if you're selling it, you want to make it a point to sell it for as high as possible so that people will buy it and you get as much as possible even after paying the guy who's packing the box and shipping the case and printing the disc. You got to make that money back. But the idea is that if games go fully all digital, that means they're able to do stuff cheaper up front. You can have different styles of price point. Instead of every game being $60 or $70, we'll see more stuff that's $25 or $32 and stuff like that, because it doesn't necessarily just come down to, okay, how many people got to get paid out before I can start breaking even on my investment? My problem is that I just don't believe this is going to happen. Like,
it's not, right? It's not. I mean, some companies do it, like Remedy Games with Alan Wake 2. They knocked the digital price down to $50. We saw a long thread from an ex-accountant at Square Enix who basically said a $70 game, $20 goes to retail immediately. So once it goes to that retail shop, they get their cut, and then $50 of that sale goes to Square Enix. But even that gets broken down to different layers from distribution and stuff like that. So the actual amount that they get is less. Now, some companies are starting to do that with their digital games, reducing the price from 70 to 60, and in Alan Wake 2's case to 50, in order to pass that saving on to the consumer to make it fair, which I appreciate. I think that's a good thing, and more companies should do that, but not enough are. And when he says he doesn't believe companies will do this, I still believe that, 5 years from now, Call of Duty will still be $70 because there's no reason to reduce it because people are going to buy it. So in certain cases, it's just never going to change. And I hope it does change. I really do, because that's just full greed. But hey, if it stops the prices overall going up because they're getting a bit more money now, I guess that's something that will compensate. But knowing these companies, once they get that extra bit of money, they're just going to want more.
A lot of the executives at the top, a lot of these game companies, they're not even really gamers. You know, they're people that don't really understand even when their games are coming
It's what me and my friend called bean pushers. All they do is push beans, as in numbers, and that's all they care about.
out, or what they're all about. They're kind of just seeing it as like investments and pocketbooks and ROI and stuff like that. My fear is the fact that when physical games go away, I'm afraid this stuff's going to stay full price forever. Like, or stay full price for years and years and years into the future. My terror is the idea that, like, games typically get cheaper to combat the resale market of, like, okay, if people are selling it for $40 on eBay, if we sell it for $40, then they'll keep buying it from us instead of going to the used market. My fear is that stuff is all digital. There's nobody to compete with. You can keep every game at $80 forever, and what are you going to do? It's either buy it or don't buy it.
See, I think that that's where competition comes in, right? That's where you've got these different publishers coming in with different prices. You've got Microsoft, you've got Sony, you've got Nintendo. And I think, at that point, that's where competition is really going to kick in and stop those prices from escalating and others, maybe potentially pushing it down a little, forcing the others to push it down. There's a chance that that could happen. But if one of them decides to exit the market, what he's saying right now is kind of like the happy day scenario. The doomsday scenario is that they're going to increase it to $120 for digital, and you're going to like it or stuff it because there's no competition to tell them not to do it. So this is why you should always be fighting for competition. Even if you don't like the other platform, even if you're not for the other platform, it really doesn't matter. You should always be fighting for competition because it prevents that scenario from happening.
It's not like you have any other competition. God, look at this. Are we going to talk about Sony laying people off, or is this only something we talk about when Microsoft does it? I mean,
bingo! The layoffs only matter when Microsoft does it. No one cares or no one talks about it when Sony does. I'm pretty sure he did talk about it at the beginning, but he grazed it, right? None of this ripping his shirt off or anything. None of that stuff. It was like, oh, just 250 people got fired and that was it. That's it. Nothing else. No rage, no fake anger, no nothing. No none of that stuff. It was just 250 people got fired. Moving on to the next story.
yes, Microsoft definitely fires a lot of people. A lot of people discuss the fact that Microsoft has done multiple rounds of major layoffs, but this feels something separate. This feels
See, the goalposts have moved already.
super weird because to me, they're outsourcing physical discs. Okay, this person clearly doesn't really fully understand it. Jobs lost are always bad, but this isn't the doom of physical media. I disagree with this person. More stores are actually removing physical games. Best Buy no longer sells physical games. Their sections are completely empty. I think there's a rumor that the European store Game.
That is not a rumor. They are removing physical games. They're done because they just don't sell.
Is thinking about stopping selling physical games.
That's not a rumor. They are doing it.
Which is still just so bizarre. This is good to be back with the.
It's not bizarre when they just don't sell. Not enough people go to the high streets anymore to buy physical media. Right? A game is a physical shop. Now they do have online shops, but websites, but the shipping price is too expensive. So they've also priced themselves out of that market as well. So game might be a special case, but you'll find that a lot more of these companies are going to go downhill.
Xbox store closing. God, yeah, that's right. The Xbox store is also closing. I want to make a video about this separately because honestly, it's super weird to think about the idea of the Xbox store completely shutting down here in 1 month. But I think part of my fear about this is.
And also, although there is going to be a bit of doom and gloom on that, let's keep in mind that a lot of those games are backwards compatible with the Series S and X console. Now there are a bunch of games that are not, but there are a hell of a lot that are. And they are still working on backwards compatible preservation, and maybe they'll add some, maybe they're not. but it's not as bad as people think it is. And let's face it, some games will obviously always get lost in time. You can always go and buy the physicals and the console if you really want to, or until then, they've got a huge sale. Go buy them. There's loads of sales going on at the moment. No one is going to buy them. No one is going to buy the console. And you don't even have to buy the console right now, right? The 360 console. You can just go to the Microsoft store and just buy those 360 games from the Microsoft website, and they'll be on your profile forever. And you can go and buy your 360 later. How many people are going to do it? None.
Is the games that are going to go away in an all-digital future. Like right now, Forza Horizon 4 is on Xbox Game Pass. They're about to just delete this out of existence. It's just going to be gone. It sounds like if you have a physical disc, it will still work. But if you've only ever played Forza 4 on Xbox Game Pass, it's pretty much just being completely eradicated.
But if you buy it digitally, something he's not adding, then it's yours forever. Even after they've removed it off the store, you can still play it, you can still download it, and still have access to it. You can delete the game off your Xbox and then download it again, and delete it and download it again, same as Steam. So there's a clear distinction there. Once you've bought it, you still have it and you still have access to it. It's not like some of those PlayStation games that once you delete it, it's gone. Like I remember QT. It's just gone, deleted, evaporated. I've got it. I downloaded it, but I can't download it anymore because it was removed from my license catalog. Outrun is another one. I think it was Outrun 2016. Gone because Sega lost the Ferrari license. It's gone. It happens. It's just one of those things. Licenses are licenses.
What is causing this? I think it's two separate things at once. I think right up front, obviously, people are buying digital more than ever. I think the lockdowns, the pandemic, a lot of people definitely got in the habit of buying games because it is so easy, admittedly, to just buy something digitally and immediately start playing it. But I almost think there's a second part of it, which is the fact that I do think these companies don't want you to actually have infinite access to their games.
No! Come on! You're smarter than... Okay, you probably aren't. But come on, let me see if he's going to cook.
I think they like the idea that if there's a PlayStation 6, they could just not put a disk drive on it. And even if you have a massive PlayStation 4 collection, you would have to buy every PS4 game you want to play. You have to buy it digitally to play it on your PlayStation 6. And to me, it is just weird to think that we've gotten to this point. The fact that companies are willing to, they're willing to just completely crap on their oldest fans, the people that have been supporting.
He's not actually going to talk about the biggest elephant in the room. Secondhand gaming. That's what this is all about. No company out there, Sony, Microsoft, none of them get money from secondhand gaming. I keep using my Spider-Man example like I did in my previous, or maybe used it earlier. But second day into Spider-Man 2's release, the computer exchange where I used to live had 50 plus copies secondhand in stock. People played it within the first day, finished it, and traded it in the second day. So they can get the best exchange rate for it. Now, if I went in and I actually purchased it secondhand, not only am I getting it cheaper than retail, which was 70, they were selling it for 52, or was it 50? So that's £20 saving there. But Sony gets none of that money. None. None at all. And that's the problem. And that's where this is all going. And this is the biggest reason why they are going full digital, because of secondhand gaming providing no revenue for these publishers. I mean, I keep saying this, and I know it's different, but essentially, as far as Sony and Microsoft are concerned, there is no difference between you purchasing the game secondhand, especially if the game doesn't offer microtransactions, than you pirating it. Because either way, they're not seeing a single dime of that revenue coming towards them.
Supported them the longest because there really isn't a way to compete. Are people really going to keep a PlayStation 5 forever? Are people going to keep a PlayStation 4? I like the PlayStation 3. I still have a physical PS3, but it is weird that if I want to play PlayStation 3 games, I have to have these generations of consoles that are slowly going to become more inactive. Like, it is weird to think that as these stores get shut down, as the physical discs become more irrelevant, as the systems themselves, even the consoles themselves, break down more often, not only are we seeing the death of physical media, I feel like we're seeing the death of the complete march of time. It's weird to think that we're seeing the death of old school games.
I think they can actually preserve it in a different way. Those games that one, if they, I mean, even if they go full digital, that's fine. I think at that point, what they can do is provide a kind of, I mean, PCs will always have drives, right? You can buy Blu-ray drives, you can buy any drive. I know having a drive in your PC is like mind blown, I know. But it can always be an add-on for your PC, and they can provide emulators that can run them on your PC. You may not be able to run them on your consoles anymore, but they can at least provide a method for you to play them, and any game that you've run through that on your PC will run through PSN, and any game you run through, like for PlayStation and Xbox games, will run through, Xbox Live, and that way they kind of link them that way to, get Xbox PC Game Pass the app, whatever the PlayStation launch is going to be called, you'll have an ID, and it will link to them. Boom, done, happy days. And that's a really simple way to preserve your media, and that way those older generation games, the physicals, can still be useful. I know it's not on the console anymore because those consoles won't last forever. Like my PS3's disk drive, the laser isn't reading very well anymore. But if you can play it on your PC, who cares, right? Who cares? They can even release there's so many things that they can do.
And to me, that does suck. As a kid who grew up completely obsessed with Final Fantasy and stuff like that, you can see this is my original broke ass, scuffed up, completely jank copy of the game itself. This is a relic that will last forever. I
No,
can
it
still
won't.
buy an original PlayStation with the original wires and pop these physical discs in with a current memory card and just play the entire game start to finish. And I think companies, in a way, feel threatened by that.
He cannot play that forever because discs do degrade. It's just a natural thing. Over time they will degrade, and there will come a time when he cannot use the disc anymore. It's just it takes a lot longer.
Because this doesn't give any money to Square Enix. It doesn't give any money to Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. It's this completely separate retro demographic.
There you go. He finally got there. He finally got there with the secondhand gaming.
It's something that they can't touch. But if they find a way to invalidate current PlayStation 5 stuff, if they stop printing discs, you're kind of stuck playing their game forever. You have to abide by their rules, even if it's more expensive or a lot of times crappier. But these have just been some off the cuff thoughts. I've spoken out. I don't like the all digital future. The fact that it sounds like the next generation of Xboxes will not have any sort of disk drive. I think PlayStation, they haven't said anything yet, but whenever we see the PlayStation 6, I don't think it's going to have any sort of physical drive whatsoever. And that to me is bizarro. But what do you guys think? Tell me your.
I think it's, for me, I've gone practically full digital for a long time now, so it really doesn't matter to me. I mean, the only reason I'm even bothering with the Alan Wake Collector's Edition is because I got the Alan Wake 1. I love Alan Wake, so the moment I saw that available, once I move to my new place, I'm going to have like all my Collector's Edition box sets. Honestly, what I would love them to do is what Final Fantasy XIV just did recently. They had a collector's box, which is an isolated box with all the collector's stuff in there, and then they sold Dawn Trail as a digital depending on the version you wanted, and they send you a code. That way, the collector's box edition is available to everyone. I'd much rather they did something like that going forward than anything else, than the way they're doing it now, because to me that's just much more accessible. But like I said, I've gone full digital anyway. I can't really remember. I mean, I tell a lie. I just did buy my son Klonoa for his birthday. It comes with Klonoa 1 and 2 on the Xbox. He's loving it. But, in terms of like physical, digital games, this is the way it's going, and Sony was always going to follow through. But like I said, that 250 jobs, can you imagine if Microsoft lost that 250 jobs? it would be him ripping his shirt off and popping those buttons and turning into a really weird version of Not So Hulk. But because it's Sony, he doesn't care. And he quickly brushed it away and now wants to talk about the 360 store closing down, which even then I don't think is that big of a deal because a lot of the games, a huge portion of the games, are playable on the Series X, and I can actually put my disc in and play it. So to me, it's not that big of a problem. And if you're really, really that bothered by it, and they've shut the store and you can't play it, go find the games from some other means and emulate it on your PC. You've always got that option, right? If it's no longer available to buy, then it should be fair game. Well, anyway, that's me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Do you want to see more React content like this? Let me know in the comment section below, and hopefully you'll hit that bell as well. Please, yo! Right, anyway, I'm mumbling. See you next time. Mynxy.